Perfect.
It takes a while from South Africa to Australia, remember. We're only on, 4G? We're not where we talked about the last time yet. So it's still taking a half a millisecond longer.
Not at 5G.
Not at 5G.
Yeah. Okay. Now, I've just I played a little piece of that Elysium, and I got a warning here on my panel saying, warning, copyrighted audio and video in your stream.
Yeah, that's a big problem. If you play more than 5 seconds of something that's copyrighted, you've got a problem.
Yeah, well, anyway, it is what it is. All right. Now, look, tonight we're going to be talking about Agenda 2030. And
yes.
But before we do, I just want to draw everybody's attention to the fact that right now, Pope Paul and other religious leaders are, I think it's in the Kingdom of Saudi, and on Saturday, the 13th of November, they're going to be climbing up Mount, or they'll probably go by helicopter, to the top of Mount Sinai, where Moses got the 10 Commandments. And this is true. This is true. You can check this out. And the reason they're going there is because they're going to issue a new set of 10 Commandments which are aimed at saving the environment.
Oh, yeah, the Mother Earth religion is poking her head.
Yeah, well, that's happening this Saturday. So,
sure.
You know, the timing for what we're going to be talking about right now is absolutely perfect. Now,
absolutely perfect.
Marta, do you think Agenda 2030 has any secret spiritual roots?
Well, if you remember the last couple of interviews we had, everything we are facing right now has spiritual roots. You know, I see absolutely everything with spiritual glasses, and people sometimes criticize that. But the problem is everything that is happening is absolutely prophesied in Scripture. So I'm going to share my screen with you. Is that all right?
Yeah, please go ahead.
Let me do that and get everything running on the site.
I just want to welcome everybody who's joined us tonight. We're going to be talking about Agenda 2030, but obviously the implications of what the World Economic Forum and the United Nations have for us useless eaters. Yeah.
That's absolutely the thing. So regarding the spiritual roots, I will not answer that question. I will show you the evidence, and then you and your viewers can decide for yourself. How's that?
Perfect.
I
I still can't see your screen. Have you shared the screen yet?
I have.
Okay, I still see you.
Let me see what I have done. Sorry, man.
That's okay. Not a problem. Just while you're doing that, welcome to everybody to our live stream tonight. And if you do have questions, please just put them in the side chat, and I'll put those to Marta later. And of course, if you haven't registered on lovinglivetv.com yet, please do. That's our main platform. There we go. Now something's happening.
Fantastic. So, Agenda 2030 is really all about spiritual roots. And this little sign, Alpha and Omega, try and keep that in mind the whole time. You all know what Alpha and Omega is. It's talked about in the book of Revelation.
The beginning and the end.
Beginning and the end. But remember this, because there's a false beginning and end. There's a false Messiah. There's the Antichrist. There's the real Christ. Keep this in mind the whole time. And keep an open mind to decide for yourself. We don't know everything yet. There is a lot concealed for us right now. This is what Agenda 2030 is all about. There's a lot of stuff concealed in very nice words. As we go through the agenda tonight, you'll see it sounds really good. It sounds like these world leaders really care about us. But remember, there's two agendas here. The one they show to us and the one that's really the root of what they are planning. And the ultimate plan has more to do with the Alpha and Omega than you would imagine. And you might be surprised at the end when I reveal this to you. So you guys have to stick around until the end, all right? Agenda 2030 for sustainable development. Now, what is sustainable development? The definition for sustainable is whether something is able to be maintained at a certain rate or level. So the globalists or the elite, those people living in the air while we all live like rats in that movie you saw, they need to decide whether the way in which we're living now is sustainable for this earth. And that's why, like you just said, there's going to be 10 new commandments for saving the earth.
Yeah.
And Agenda 2030 is very much about planet Earth and the whole Green Deal. We'll get to that. So just by looking at the symbolism is extremely important when it comes to spiritual roots of everything. So I want you to look at the symbol for Agenda 2030, the symbol for sustainable development. And I want to show you, there's many. We don't have time to go in everything. I'm going to show you 2 spiritual roots for sustainable development's logo. The first one is, this is the rainbow color. If you look at all the colors in the symbol for sustainable development, the rainbow flag is a symbol of lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender pride and LGBT social movements. It's also known as the gay pride flag or the diversity of the LGBT community.
Yuck.
And the spectrum of human sexuality and gender is represented by all these colors. In San Francisco, there was a huge rally, and this is where the flag has been brought in. And you can see all the celebrities in the world, all the pop stars, the rock stars, everybody's on this bandwagon.
Now, just on that, sorry, I just must interrupt for a second there.
Sure.
I've seen photographs of Klaus Schwab on a beach wearing obscene clothing, and his sidekick Harari is married to another guy. I mean,
yes, he's gay. Yeah. He's a Orthodox Jew, but he's gay. Yeah.
And this symbol here, the circle with all the colours on it, it's what Bill Gates now always wears on his suit.
And have you seen it on Ramaphosa? Have you seen it on all our South African leaders? Have you seen it on all the African continent? Every government official is wearing the symbol. So that is why I'm saying there's a spiritual root in this, because I return to the book of Psalms all the time. Psalm number 2 talks about the kings of the earth that is in rebellion against the God of the Bible. And who are the kings of the earth?
Well, I know who they think they are.
Well, yeah, and they're all wearing the symbol of where they are taking us, and they put it under sustainable development, so we think they are our saviors, and we can follow them and we can trust them because they care about us. But we're going to see the real agenda behind the agenda.
Right.
Looking at this round, the circle in which these colors are positioned, we talked about a lot in the previous discussions, Scott, if you and your people can remember, your viewers. We talked a lot about the Tower of Babylon. And I just want to show you here. Look at the symbol for the Tower of Babel. If you're looking at it from above, the Tower of Babel goes up. If you look at it from above, it's a round circle. It's got a center point and it's got a couple of spokes coming out. Now, I don't have time to go into all the symbols, but you have about 1,200 companies all over the world, corporate companies involved with this whole scheme that has the circle in some form or manner in their logos.
Now,
but I'm just going to show you here.
Just with regards to the Tower of Babel, the European Union building in Belgium looks like the Tower of Babel. Yes, that one. The European Union, there it is. Look at that.
That's exactly what I'm trying to show you. Yeah, yes.
Wow. Okay.
Because the all the unions, all the councils of the world, that's what Psalm 2 is all about. It says the kings of the earth form councils against the God of the Bible. Because all these councils and these unions and these global corporations and philanthropical environmental agencies, they're all having the same goal. And the goal is the sustainable development. But we've already seen the sexual undertone, because if you go back to the Bible again, all the pagan temples always had an extremely sexual undertone. And the reason for that is because the unholy Trinity, God the Father, the Mother, Queen of Heaven, and the Son God, Antichrist, is all about a sexual union. If you go back into the old pagan traditions of Semiramis and Nimrod, that was in the Babylonian times, and then you've got in the Egyptian times, you've got the sun god Ra with Isis, the queen mother, and then they have a son Horus. This whole sexual relationship between the sun god that died, and then the mother got pregnant through the rays of her husband who's now dead, and then a child is born. It sounds very similar to the Bible, and you always have to ask yourself, what was first? Most people will say the Bible has been written after the ancient historical religions of Babylon and the Medes and the Persians and the Egyptians, but it's actually the other way around. So when you look at original biblical principles, you will see how Satan replicates that and then uses it for his kingdom. And that's exactly what we see in the symbol for sustainable development. It goes back to the pagan roots of the Babylonian system, where Nimrod wanted to take the place of God. And I showed you Alpha and Omega. We'll get to that at the end of the slide, because the real agenda for Agenda 2030 is to replace God.
Wow.
Now, I want to show you a sneak preview inside the European Union building. We saw it now from outside. Yep. And you actually agreed that it looks like an incomplete Tower of Babel. Look at the inside. Everything is round. All the nations of the world are combined here. They're all gathered around this massive structure. Look at the structure.
Wow.
It all goes up all the way into the sun god eye. You've got the sun god eye on the floor. Look at that. You've got the sun god eye in the roof.
Now, just
you've got the nations. Yeah.
Sorry, Marta, just on that point. When you talk about the president of the European Union and these other top officials, none of them are elected by the people in Europe. They are basically bureaucrats who are giving these top positions. So democracy doesn't exist in the European Union, does it?
It has never existed anyway. Don't tell me you believe democracy existed in this country.
No, but I mean, it's blatant.
There's no elections, yes. Absolutely none. They are put in position by whomever is in charge. And they have to belong to certain circles before they can get into the position of where they can be chosen.
Yeah.
But yeah, look at the colors on the floor. Look at the carpet. Look at the roof. Can you see all the multicolors of the sexual roots? I showed you the LBGT flag.
Yeah.
And here it's represented. These government institutions, although it seems ridiculous to think this, they all have the same Babylonian sexual confusion root. And this is where they are taking the world. So that was a sneak preview. And now let me show you the root. Here we've got little Mr. Nimrod. We've got the Tower of Babylon behind him. And we see the Tower of Babel from above in the symbol of the sustainable development. Because it is about the sun god Father, the Queen of Heaven Mother, and the sun god Antichrist, the sun. And this is a very, very big deception. And we might think that our world leaders are not gay sun gods, but they represent the whole gay sun god movement. It sounds so difficult, and I wish I had time to explain more. But just look at these symbols. You can buy sustainable development now, the Great Reset. These pins you can buy online, and look at the graphics, look at the pictures, look at the symbols. They are telling us exactly what they are busy with. And like you said, you saw Bill Gates wearing it.
Yeah, there it is.
You can see all these old leaders. They're wearing this symbol. And they're wearing it proudly because, hey, they're going to save the world for us, right? But it's exactly these colors of the LBGT movement.
Yeah.
So, yeah, you still with me, Scott?
I am, absolutely. Now, Marta, can you expand a bit on each of these goals?
So, yeah, there's 17 goals for the sustainable development. And what it is about at the end of the day is to transform the world. The agenda is a plan of action for people, for the planet, and for prosperity. But it seeks bigger than that. It seeks universal peace for a larger freedom. Every time there's a, Miss World and Miss South Africa and Miss United Nations and whatever, what do they always say? What is your goal? And then they say, world peace.
Yeah.
That is such an acronym for the sustainable development, because their biggest goal, and I'll show you later on what the Bible's opinion is about that, but it's really for them, or what they are telling us, it's for universal peace. So all countries and all stakeholders acting in collaborative partnerships will implement this plan. Listen carefully, I'm reading for you. You can go to the United Nations website and you can read all of this. It's a massive 300-page document. I've done the work for you. I've read through it. I'm only highlighting the most important points.
Right.
But listen to this. Collaborative partnerships. We're going to get to the collaborative partnerships. And this is for a collective journey. And they pledge, listen to this, no one will be left behind. No one will be left behind. The biggest term they use is to eradicate poverty. And they say this in the document, I think, I stopped counting by about 200 times. Because for them, it's all about eradicating poverty. On 1 January 2016, the 17 Sustainable Development Goals of the Agenda 2030 were adopted by world leaders. My question is just, they started their agenda in 2015, wanting to eradicate poverty. We are now basically 6 years later, and have they done anything about eradicating poverty? Or has poverty increased?
It's increased.
It's increased tremendously, especially if you think about the lockdowns, how many people lost their jobs, how many small businesses was closed down. We are more impoverished now than we were before. Yet they have repeated the word eradicating poverty over 200 times in their document. So, you know what, it's a lot of hypocrisy. It's not really what they are looking for to do.
Yeah. It's all smoke and mirrors.
It's all smoke and mirrors. The new agenda is guided by the purpose and the principles of the Charter of the United Nations, including full respect for international law. It's grounded in the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. Listen to all these keywords.
Yeah.
International human rights treaties, the Millennium Declaration, and the 2005 World Summit outcome. It is informed by other instruments such as the Declaration on the Right for Development. Now, they want to realize human rights for all and achieve gender equality. And these goals, together, these targets they have, 169 targets. I'm only highlighting some of the most important targets for you tonight. And they were announced to show the size of this, they call it universal agenda. They said the following: we, the heads of the state and governments of high representatives, meeting at the United Nations headquarters in New York in 2015, as the organization celebrates its 70th anniversary, we've decided today on new global sustainable development goals. On behalf of the people we serve, we have adopted an historic decision on a comprehensive, far-reaching and people-centered set of universal and transformative goals and targets. We commit ourselves to working tirelessly for the full implementation of this agenda by the year 2030. Now, when we look at when they say their principles are grounded in human rights, I hope you can remember that I explained to you when we talked about the Noahide laws, and we talked about Athena, remember the age of reason. And we talked about the whole serpent kingdom system.
Yeah.
Do you remember we showed you how human rights is really a serpent worship governmental system guiding the world towards the New World Order. Now, this agenda is not something to play around with. The 17 goals are the following: to end poverty. Number 2, to end hunger. Number 3, to ensure healthy lives. Number 4, quality education. Number 5, gender equality. Number 6, the management of water and sanitation. Number 7, energy for all. Hope they're going to remember South Africa for that. Number 8, economic growth and decent work for all. Do they even hear themselves? Decent work for all. What does their all mean? Every person in Africa, we are how many millions in South Africa without work at the moment? But one of their goals, and it sounds great. Maybe we should support them. Decent work for all. Number 9, resilient infrastructure. Don't be deceived by this word. You'll see what it really means. Number 10, reduce inequality amongst countries. Number 11, make cities and human settlements safe. Number 12, ensure sustainable consumption and production patterns. I hope you're hearing this.
Yeah.
Ensure sustainable consumption, what did you say? Useless eaters, and production patterns. Number 13, take urgent action to combat climate change. They're going up Mount Sinai, you said. Now,
Yeah.
I wonder what's going to come out of those 10 commandments. It's going to be so, what is the right word I'm looking for? It's going to be an eye-opener to compare those 10 commandments to the biblical 10 commandments, to the Noahide laws, and to the Agenda 2030 goals. Number 14, conserve the oceans, the sea, and the marine resources. Number 15, protect the terrestrial ecosystems. Goal 16, promote peaceful and inclusive societies. Goal 17, strengthen the means of implementation of global partnerships. And here is the biggest problem. Here are the kings of the earth in their global partnerships.
Can I just pick up on that point, Marta? The global partnerships.
Yes, absolutely.
That the World Economic Forum's main agenda is pushing public-private partnerships. And for those who are listening, what that actually means is companies starting to run your country. So it's no longer democracy, it's actually a company that actually runs your health system, and they're basically running the show. The governments are just sitting there like, on the sideline. They're not actually part of your life and the impact on your life. That's what the World Economic Forum's big agenda is. Back to you.
Yes. That's exactly what this is about. I'll show you the pyramid just now. And you will see how low on the pyramid the governments really are. The governments are nothing. Honestly, in this new world order, the governments are nothing. They are just above us, the useless eaters. Anyway, do you want to go into each one of the goals a little bit more in detail?
Yes, go ahead.
All right, goal number 1. It says end poverty in all its forms everywhere. But really, what they're saying is they want to do population control. By 2030, they want to reduce at least by half the proportion of men, women, and children of all ages living in poverty. Do you remember when we looked at the Georgian Guidestones?
Yeah.
And it said that they want to maintain population at 500 million in what? In balance with nature.
Yeah.
So they want to get to the point where poverty is ended. But the only way they're going to get that is when they end the people, and then the poverty is going to end automatically because all the useless eaters will be gone. They can only really sustain this world with much fewer people. That's why it's called sustainable development, because with 8 billion people, they say this planet is not sustainable.
Just
So
on that point,
listen carefully.
sorry, just on that point,
You're very
I
welcome.
read that on the 15th of November, officially, the world population will hit 8 billion people
8 billion people, yeah.
on the 15th
It's
of
a
November.
massive amount.
Yeah.
And still, if you take 8 billion people, you can fit them all,
Yeah.
in, I think, which city did they say? Something like New York City?
New York City.
All
Yeah.
8 billion people can actually fit into New York City. So we are not overpopulated.
Right.
It's a great excuse for them. Goal number 2, end hunger, achieve food security, and improve nutrition, and promote sustainable agriculture. What it really is about, goal 2, is about eradicating all private farming and all natural food. You know that Bill Gates is buying up land as if it's, going out of fashion. You were looking at the chemtrails. What is the goal of the chemtrails? Is it to improve agriculture, or is it to destroy agriculture?
Yeah.
You've seen all the videos these days of celebrities promoting the eating of bugs.
Yeah.
This whole new hype of eating bugs. But they say they want to promote agriculture. We're looking at vaccination for all animals. This whole vaccination thing for humans is most just a conspiracy theory, but now the newest thing is every domesticated and every agricultural animal shall be vaccinated against all these diseases that they say is coming.
Foot and mouth.
So what are in these vaccinations? What genetic modification is in these vaccinations? So how are they going to achieve food security when they are going to poison us, not only with our food, but in the air? With the water, we're going to get to the water just now. We're looking at farm murders in this land, in this country itself. How do they promote sustainable agriculture when they do nothing about the farm murders? We've got land expropriation in this country. Again, how are you going to promote sustainable agriculture when you are grabbing and stealing people's land? GMO seed. Can you find non-genetically modified seeds? Can you find it? It is such a problem to find non-genetically modified seeds. Have any of you seen that movie? It's called David versus Monsanto.
No, I haven't.
You need to watch it. It's a movie where a farmer is going up against Monsanto. Monsanto is your biggest non-governmental company, one of those companies we talked about that will run the world.
Yeah.
And Monsanto is forcing their GMO seeds upon all farmers. And in India specifically, we'll get to India and some other countries just now. Do you know how many farmers, small-sized farmers, have committed suicide because they cannot sustain their farming when they don't comply to the Monsanto rules and regulations, and they're bullying Monsanto and all the genetically modified non-governmental agencies are forcing farmers to buy and use only a certain genetically modified seed for planting. This is a massive, massive problem. Goal number 2 is not about promoting agriculture. It's about destroying it. So by 2020, they want to maintain genetic diversity of seeds, cultivated plants, and farmed and domesticated animals and their related wild species. They want to manage them soundly by diversified seed and plant banks. Do you hear what they're saying?
Can I
They will give.
Sorry, Mada.
Yes.
Just a couple of little points just to add to what you're saying. In the Netherlands, the government is actually trying to kick all the farmers off their land so they can actually then accommodate all the illegals. And
Yes.
the Netherlands is the second biggest producer of farm products in the world. And the farmers have been fighting back against this now for months.
Yes.
And that is happening, and it's part of the World Economic Forum's agenda. And Klaus Schwab and Rutte, who's the political guy who heads up in the Netherlands, are very, very close. They're very good friends. And this is where it all roads lead back to Rome. And just with the...
Everything is about this, yeah.
Yeah. And just with the genetic diversity of seeds, This is horrific, because you notice that word genetic diversity means, in other words, genetically modified. That's what they're referring to there. Yeah, back to you.
Absolutely. It's not going to be natural or pure. And what's happening in the Netherlands now is going to happen all across the world. It's been under wraps, but it has happened in India, in Africa, in the African continent, and in all the poor countries. This has been going on for a long time, where they've been kicking farmers off their lands. But now in the Western world, in the developed countries, we will get to Mr. George Soros and the Open Society Corporation that actually puts the money behind all these illegal immigrations. So there's two sides to the coin. One is to get the land, and the other one is to bring the illegal immigrants in. And it seems that these two are in opposition to each other, but the corporations are actually working together to get this done. It might seem that one guy is against the massive amount of people that comes into the Western world, all these refugees, but they are behind it. They are bringing them in because these people are cattle that can be used and manipulated to, get lots of things done. We don't have time to go into that. But there's a reason behind this immigration of these millions and millions of refugees.
Yeah.
Now the diversified seed and plant banks. Hopefully, when we do another interview, we can talk about the Museum of the Future. The Museum of the Future in Dubai, where you will see thousands of genetic samples of plants and seeds in the museum, where they are going to show this for the future generations, to show the future generations what it used to look like, because we will not have the diversity of animals and plants in the future that we have today. So if you visit the Museum of the Future, they are showing you what in the future will have been destroyed and will no longer exist, that you will only be able to see in a museum. Very interesting.
Wow.
Anyway, part of this goal is to increase investment, including enhanced international cooperation in rural infrastructure, agricultural research, but this all happens through technology development and livestock gene banks. Livestock gene banks.
What is that?
That is where you can only get your genetic material for your farm, if you are an approved farmer, from a bank that is part of the Sustainable Development Program.
But
You cannot, wat is die woord nou, breed with your own livestock anymore.
Wow.
You have to get your genes from the bank.
Now, just on
Very
that,
nice.
just on that point, Bill Gates has opened up the biggest artificial meat plant in the world,
Exactly.
and the meat is not it's not a cow chewing the cud. It's actually grown in a laboratory. The meat.
You can't even call it meat.
No, it's
It
not.
is going to
It's-
be an absolute atrocity.
Yeah.
Don't you ever eat it, hey?
Oh no, I won't.
Don't you ever put your mouth to that?
No.
Because that is exactly where they want to take us. If you look at all these Hollywood movies, what are the people doing? They're walking like sheep in a row to get a little bit of food from the government. Oh, the government is looking after us. Everything is going to hell, but the government is giving us a little bit of food. What it is, nobody knows. But I mean, where will all the food come from when all the farmers are gone and all the good natural cows and decent created animals are gone? Then all we have left is the food the government will supply. And why do they want to do that? If you're hungry, you will follow them.
Yeah,
That's what it's about.
absolutely.
All right, let's continue. Goal number 3, to ensure healthy lives and promote well-being for people of all ages. But it's really about exterminating all people and getting healthy people sick through pharmacia. Look at goal 3.1. By 2030, they want to reduce the global maternal mortality ratio to less than 70 per 100,000 live births. Okay, what are they saying? They want to decrease the deaths of babies when they are born. But at the same time, They are killing 42 million babies every single year. I've taken here for you from care.org.uk. I'm not, sucking this out of my thumb. In 2020, there was 42 million abortions.
Wow.
But the Sustainable Development Goals says they want to reduce the mortality rate of babies.
But that's only those that actually get to birth, and it's Planned Parenthood. That one of the key players in Planned Parenthood, which are pushing abortions all over the world, is Bill Gates's father. Actually,
he started that. Of course he did. Yeah. Well, play the next video for us, please.
Okay. About abortions. Let me just get that one up. Hang on.
Yeah, the one about abortions, please.
Okay, here we go.
And listen carefully to what she says.
Okay, here we go. It's coming up now. And plain.
I still believe in protecting a woman's right to choose. And those of us who do, we are part of a billion-dollar corporation with lawyers and lobbyists and media experts on staff. Have you ever seen the names of our donors? Soros, Gates, Buffett. That's who we have. Who've you got, Abby?
Okay, I've just played that clip with the abortions.
So that is a clip I took with my cell phone from my own TV when I was watching a movie about a woman fighting against an abortion clinic. And where the woman behind the bars, the woman on the side of the abortion clinic, she gave 3 names of the biggest donors for abortion clinics. And this is just a Hollywood movie. But like I said to you before in our private conversation, Scott, the Bible says that God doesn't do anything without telling his prophets first. And therefore, Satan has the same limitations. He cannot do anything before telling his prophets as well. And his Bible is Hollywood. Everything is in the open and is admitted in Hollywood. Right, I want to continue. In 2019, the pharmaceutical and health product industry in the United States spent the most on lobbying. You know what lobbying is? Lobbying means the influencing or attempting to influence legislative action or non-action through oral or written communication. Basically, lobbies are people spending a lot of money by bribing the governments to get done what their bosses wants them to get done. So in the pharmaceutical industry, they've spent $295 million on lobbying. So the lobbyists are the people that actually push us for legislation and rules and laws to change so that it fits the agenda of the non-governmental corporations that will soon be running the world.
Right.
And that's why this woman talked about lobbies. So we recognize that the baseline data, this is now still part of the Sustainable Development Goals. We recognize that baseline data for several of the targets remain unavailable, and we call for increased support, listen to this, for strengthening data collection. We commit to addressing the gap in data collection so as to better inform the measurement of progress. Now, data collection is not a nice thing. That is why we are so against. We talked about 5G. We talked about the artificial intelligence of the future. We talked about the nanotechnology in vaccinations. This is all part, if you look at Hollywood, of integrating every single human being into the smart grid, because that will be the only way in which they can strengthen their data collection. This is one of the Sustainable Development Goals. Let's move to the next one, number 4. Ensure inclusive and equitable quality education and promote lifelong learning opportunities for all. What is it really about? Total control over our children. Agenda 4.A. They want to build and upgrade education facilities that are child, disability and gender sensitive and provide safe, non-violent, inclusive and effective learning environments for all. This is hogwash because currently, how much has the pass rates declined over the last 20 years. If you look at the pass rates when we were in school, it's what, 90, 95%? We are now looking at between 40 and 50% pass rates. How on earth are they going to create quality education for all? Currently, we have such a problem with passing decline in the pass rates.
Yeah.
We have a problem with the educated children of various races not being allowed into certain study areas because of ratio cutting, because of black empowerment.
Yeah.
We have a problem with the unequal opportunities for tertiary education. We have a problem with the educated people that comes out of universities are not even able to do the work. And that problem becomes bigger and bigger every single year. Agenda 2030 has been going for 6 years already, and they haven't done a thing to increase quality education.
Not just
and if we look at what... Yeah.
I just want to add to what you're saying, and what they're actually doing to kids today around the world is indoctrinating them. They're no longer being educated. They've got a thing called they've got critical race theory, which is basically that if you're black, you're wonderful, but if you're white, well, then you're a naughty person because your ancestors have oppressed other people. That's a message that critical race theory puts out there. And then talking about gender sensitive, now they're teaching kids as young as 5 about that they might be actually a girl in a boy's body. I mean, seriously?
Absolutely.
This is the crap that kids are being taught.
If you talk against that, you can actually be in real big trouble. Do I need to take you back to the first slide where I showed you that the sexual agenda behind the sustainable development is really the root behind their logo? And here we can see it. We can see it happening in our own schools. We can see how our children from the age of 5 is besides that they're being taught that homosexuality is fine and pedophilia is fine and masturbation is fine. They're being taught these things at such a low level. Our children are no longer children. No. They are seeing pictures in their curriculum books that I haven't seen even when I was flipping 25.
Well, I'll tell you what, Mother, if you had to put those pictures onto a YouTube video, they would actually give you a community strike. That's how ridiculous it is.
I know. I've seen this. You cannot even stomach it. It is absolutely ridiculous. But besides that, they're teaching our children about evolution. We talk about promote lifelong learning opportunities for all. But homeschooling is being under massive attack. You know that. Besides the evolution and the sick curriculum of gender and sex, they are teaching our children wrong history. They are twisting the history. And this we can see as part of the future for sustainable development, what will be going on in the education.
Yeah.
Let's look at goal number 5, achieve gender equality. But what is it really about? Feminism. We've talked about feminism in a previous interview. This is a massive problem. Eradicating the male and the father figure. That is what is at the root of all families disintegrating. And that's part of the New World Order agenda, to eradicate families. Because if a good family structure is gone, then there's nothing left for the children to cling to, and they will cling to whatever is going on in the world around them, whatever is popular, whatever is pop culture.
Just on goal number 6. Just goal 5. I read that the 2 Miss World entrants in 2020, Miss Puerto Rico and Miss Argentina, got married in October this year. 2 women.
Wow.
Two beautiful women got married. I mean, in other words, they're lesbians.
Yes.
Oh, it's just crazy.
Soon, it's bizarre, but soon we will see that transgender men will start winning these female beauty pageants.
Okay, sorry, back to you.
Because if a transgender man looks like a woman and identifies as a woman, he can most enter in the competition. If he wins, he wins. She. Sorry, I'm not allowed to say he. Goal
Yes.
6, ensure
No,
availability.
let's call a spade a spade. It's not he or she, it's it.
Yes. Yeah, let's continue on that one. Goal 6, ensure availability and sustainable management of water and sanitation for all. Sounds very good, but behind that, if you start scratching a little bit, Goal 6 is really about total control over all water supply. There's many investigations on how fluoride and other poisons might be distributed slowly through our water. Also, it's an excellent distribution channel in the future for whatever they want us to consume.
Yes.
I will not say much more than that.
Mm.
Goal 7, ensure access to affordable, reliable, sustainable, and modern energy for all. They cannot promise that. They cannot ensure that. But nevertheless, they put it up as their agenda. Goal 7 is really about forcing submission by withholding energy. There's enough coal in South Africa. We don't have to have load shedding. They are withholding energy. They are busy with a slow plan that's being put in motion. They will force submission by withholding energy. And when we go for alternative energy sources, they will tax you to death.
Yeah.
Agenda 8, promote sustained and inclusive and sustainable economic growth, full and productive employment, and decent work for all. This is their agenda, this is their goal. The real goal is in direct contrast to what they have been doing historically. If we look at what, just in this country, just in South Africa, about what they've done historically, how can we believe them when they say they want to promote sustainable economic growth? Goal 8.3 talks about promoting development-oriented policies that support productive activities, decent job creation, entrepreneurship, creativity and innovation, and encourage the formalization and the growth, listen to this, I'm laughing at this, the growth of micro, small, and medium-sized enterprises, especially through access to financial services. Now, this is a mouthful. Please bear with me. The only way that these micro, small, and medium-sized enterprises will be able to be promoted and be productive is if they have access to financial services. We will not have access to financial services if we don't submit to the sustainable goals, and a little bit longer into the future, if we don't take part in the central bank digital currency system, and if we don't take the mark of the beast, without which we cannot buy and sell. So this whole nice thing about how they want to promote small business is bulltwang, because they are going to force every small, medium and large enterprise to take part in the smart crypto digital dollar system. And if you don't want to do that, then you cannot take part in this. Back to the country we are currently in. Through black economic empowerment, there's no ways that all micro, small and medium-sized enterprises can grow, because only BEE enterprises can grow, no other economic sector. There's super tax for small businesses. Small businesses have such a big struggle to survive. They provide most of the work for the people in this country, yet they are super taxed. I know what I'm talking about. I have a small business, and the taxes are really eating up into your capital. The country is allowed to go on strikes. You know, every week there's another strike happening. How can they promote development when they allow all these strikes to happen? There's such labor law inequality. If a guy does something wrong and you fire him, he just takes you to the CCMA and you stand a chance to lose the case, because the labor law is so the fairness is on the side of the employee and not the employer. And then, of course, how many small businesses was closed down during the lockdowns in 2020?
Yeah.
Let's continue. Goal number 9. Sorry, I'm going really fast. I've got a lot of information.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Goal number 9, they want to build resilient infrastructure, promote inclusive and sustainable, this is a key word, industrialization. They want to promote sustainable industrialization. Remember this word. And they want to foster innovation. Goal number 11 is I put together with goal number 9. They want to make cities and human settlements inclusive and safe. Goal 9 and 10 is really about developing smart cities and developing smart infrastructure. By 2030, they want to upgrade infrastructure and retrofit industries to make them sustainable with environmentally sound technologies and industrial processes. So we've got technology that will help us to increase the productivity of the industries so that the infrastructure can be upgraded. By 2020, they want to substantially increase the number of cities. Listen to this now. They want to increase the number of cities and human settlements that adopts these policies. What are they saying really? All cities.
Yeah, just on that point,
Yeah.
in Saudi Arabia, they already have planned one of these smart cities, which is going to be about the width of a suburban block, and it's going to be about 120 miles long. And in that strip, which is it's like a tiny thin piece of string, if you look at the actual dimensions in comparison to its length, in that block, you're going to have millions of people living in this little confined space. That's in Saudi Arabia.
Did I not tell you previously that the future will be like this? People will be like sheep, walking in lines, doing exactly what the elites are telling them to do, or the forces that the elites are using.
Yeah.
And they'll be just too happy to get a little bit of food from the government. This is what the smart cities are, this is what's waiting for the world. And it's not in Saudi Arabia only. You can just Google now, the Smart City Infrastructure Plan for South Africa. There's already such a thick document.
Wow.
Smart Cities for South Africa has already a long time been planned. They are, just hear how Ramaphosa is talking about the keywords he's using, this sustainable industrialization, the sustainable cities that's coming for the future. Smart cities will be prisons. Well, I'm going to show you. I'm going to show you proof of this just now.
Right.
All right, let's continue. Goal number 10, reduce inequality within and among countries. The real goal behind this is to ensure that all nations were gathered around the Tower of Babel and worship the beast. So every time I read their goal, I tell you what the spiritual root of that goal is.
Yeah.
So the basic government income will equalize all income groups. That's how they want to reduce the inequality. The higher income groups or the higher income countries or the higher income individuals will be compensating for the lower income levels. And there will in the future be only 2 levels of income. You'll have the super rich, there'll be no middle class, and you'll have the rest of the humanity.
You know, just on that
Only 2
point,
levels of income.
just on that point, Klaus Schwab's comment comes to mind for 2030,
Yeah.
where he says, you will own nothing, but you
And
will
be
be
happy.
happy. Yeah, back to you,
Yeah.
sorry.
Because you'll be indoctrinated and drugged and genetically modified out of your mind. Did you hear those 3 things? You'll be indoctrinated, you'll be genetically modified. What was the other thing I said? I can't remember.
Drugged.
But those things will take you out of your mind. That is Agenda 2030. That is why the Alpha and Omega is so important to understand. Because the Alpha and Omega, the Antichrist Alpha and Omega is their plan to remove, and I'm hoping we can talk about this in a next conversation, to remove the God gene. To remove a specific gene from our genetics. To remove God entirely from the picture. To remove God's signature from the human genome so that they can have their world where they rule and where their Antichrist is in charge and where everyone worships him. This is their goal ultimately. Step by step, they're taking us to it. I just want to expand on goal number 10, 10.5. They want to improve the regulation and the monitoring. Remember, monitoring, Big Brother is watching you. They want to improve the regulation and monitoring of global financial markets and institutions and strengthen the implementation of such regulations. They want to facilitate orderly, safe, regular, and responsible migration and mobility of people, including through the implementation of planned and well-managed migration policies.
Now, look, I've just got to speak to that, Mada, because
Yes.
you look what's happening in Europe right now with that influx of millions of people from the northern part
Exactly.
of Africa. How
Exactly.
planned and well managed has that been?
It's fantastically planned by them. That's exactly what they want.
No, but
They
I mean, it's just a mass of people pouring in. There's no planning. It's just been allowed. That's the only thing.
It's been allowed because it has been planned. I'm going to show you.
Yeah. Okay.
It's part of the plan. Don't think these people are stupid. The only way they can take over the West is to infiltrate it with people that they can control and manipulate. And you're looking at this on the bottom right hand. I'm showing you a little icon. It's a logo for the Open Society. We're going to get to the migration policies of the non-governmental organizations that's in global partnerships. Remember we talked about the global partnership.
Yeah.
Now the big boys that's behind the migration policies is actually the real guys that's pulling the strings. And goal number 10 is they say it's about reducing the inequality amongst countries, but they want to implement the monitoring and the control of each country's financial markets. And they want to integrate that into the central bank. There'll be no more individual banks in individual countries. There'll only be one central bank. Give it a couple of years from now, and you'll see no more Capitec, no more Absa, no more Nedbank, no more nothing. Because the poor countries, which are now not equal to the rich countries, will all be brought to the same level. Just like the poor people will be brought up to the same level as the rich people, because they want to make everybody equal. Remember, there's only two classes of people. The super rich, which is not your next door neighbor that drives a Porsche. He's not super rich. I'm talking about the globalists. Everybody else will be equal. Have you guys ever read Animal Farm?
I have.
Animal Farm. All of us are equal.
But some of us are more equal than others.
More equal than others.
Now look,
All right.
just regarding the actual payment scheme, they're talking about a
Yes.
central bank digital currency. And it's going to be something that the only way you can use it initially is through your phone. And then, of course, they'll be looking at putting a chip in your hand, which will be how 5G will move money in and out of your hand and stuff like that. It's just, Back to you, sorry.
Yeah. No, but that's absolutely what this is about.
Yeah.
This is no longer a conspiracy theory. We have everything in black and white before us on their own websites. We are not thinking about this while we are drunk. You know, this is no longer a conspiracy theory. Goal number 12, ensure sustainable consumption and production patterns. This one is amazing, if you understand what they're really saying. Because goal 12 is really about controlling and dictating your patterns and getting rid of the useless eaters. They will, 12.4, by 2020, achieve the environmentally sound management of chemicals and all wastes throughout their life cycles in accordance with agreed international frameworks. And that will significantly reduce the release to air, water and soil in order to minimize their adverse impacts on human health and the environment.
Now, hang on.
Hogwash.
Hang on.
Hogwash.
Absolutely. Is that a spello by 2020? Because that was 2 years ago.
No.
And they don't have sound
Exactly.
management of chemicals and all waste.
No, they've actually increased their chemtrails. So hello, they've made this problem even bigger. But what they're telling the public is they're working really hard to get the environment clean. I mean, that woman, what's that girl that both you and I hate so much, Greta or whatever?
Greta
I mean,
Thunberg.
she goes to all her Save the Planet conferences, but then she drives in a private jet. Anyway, 12.8, by 2030, ensure that people everywhere have the relevant information and awareness for sustainable development and lifestyles in harmony with nature. What are they saying? They want people everywhere to have the relevant information. So that is your media indoctrination that comes to play.
Yeah.
And your mass media, again, like we said when we talked about the Noahide laws, the Jews that call themselves Jews, but they're actually from the synagogue of Satan, they are controlling the media indoctrination. There's a plan behind this.
Right.
They want to ensure sustainable consumption and production patterns. But really, through media indoctrination and through poisoning the soil, the air and the water, they are getting to the point where they can control humanity. 12A says, support developing countries to strengthen their scientific, number one, and technological, number two, capacity to move towards more sustainable patterns of consumption and production. So science and technology is becoming a major player in every aspect of the Sustainable Development Goals. And what they're really saying is they're talking about the artificial intelligence, they're talking about biometrics, and they're talking about Big Brother. Big Brother is that eye from 1984, the movie, the eye that's watching you the whole time.
Yeah.
Like this little eye on the laptop is watching me the whole time. A Big Brother will be watching the sustainable patterns of consumption. You know, what is consumption? What you buy. And production. What is production? What you sell. And without the mark of the beast, you cannot consume or produce. You cannot buy and sell. Let's continue.
That is right out of the Bible.
Absolutely. Because your question was, is Agenda 2030, does it have spiritual roots? Absolutely it does.
Yeah.
The real battle, is not against you and me. They want to eradicate us, yes. But it's not against you and me. It's against the God we worship. Goal number 13, take urgent action to combat climate change. Mount Sinai. We're all going to be watching that. You need to send us a link so that we have that information.
Right.
But they want to take urgent action to combat climate change and the impact of climate change. But really, Goal 13 will just help them implement the climate hoax, because there is no climate change. And we can talk about this for hours. We don't have the time now.
Yeah.
But part of the impact of climate change, they are acknowledging, listen to this carefully, acknowledging that the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change is the primary international intergovernmental forum for negotiating the global response to climate change. What are they saying? The United Nations is the boss. Whatever they say is going to go.
Yeah, just on that point, it reminds me of what the World Health Organization are doing right now. They're trying to become the boss of pandemics. In other words, if there's a pandemic, regardless of which country you're in, that country's government will be beholden to the World Health Organization, which in itself is beholden to Bill Gates. And of course, it's all part of the UN. Sorry, back to you.
Yes. No, but you're absolutely right, because like you said, nobody, no democratic election put the people that works at the United Nations or the World Economic Forum in place. So we will be ruled by people that we have not elected. And these people will govern our governments. All right, let's continue. 13A. Implement the commitment undertaken by developed country parties to the United Nations Framework Convention of Climate Change to a goal of, listen, mobilizing jointly $100 billion per year to address the needs of developing countries on implementation and fully operationalizing the Green Climate Fund through its capitalization as soon as possible. So they are giving developing countries, poor countries, backwards countries, $100 billion per year so that they will obey the Green Climate Agenda. Enough said about that.
Well, Ramaphosa's right into that. He's claiming billions of dollars.
Well, he's already had what was it, $4.5 million in his mattress. So he already got a few.
Yes.
A few dollars there. Goal 14. Conserve and sustainably use the oceans, the seas, and marine resources for sustainable development. Sounds really nice. But goal 14 and 15 is all about conserving and using these resources only as they will allow and as they will mandate. We will have no choice. We can only use these, just look at the pandemic, look at 2020. You couldn't even go swimming in the ocean during the lockdowns because the old people that were sitting at the windows would phone the police and say, oh, there's somebody on the beach. This is just a small part of what's coming in the future. They will control all the oceans, all the seas, all the marine resources. And that's why we will eat the food that they will provide to us, because you will no longer be allowed to go fishing. Sorry about that, but no more Sunday afternoon fishing trips. Let's look at goal 16. Promote peaceful and inclusive societies for sustainable development, provide access to justice for all, and build effective, accountable, and inclusive institutions at all levels. Goal 16 really makes them look so nice. It sounds so good. It sounds like they are heroes. But let's investigate these inclusive institutions. I'll get to the point where we're looking at the global partnerships and these inclusive institutions. It sounds harmless, but when you know who these institutions are and what they do, you will understand why this is so dangerous. It sounds good. Promote peaceful societies. But it's horrible when you understand what they are busy with.
Right.
16.1. Significantly reduce all forms of violence and related deaths everywhere. How the hell are they going to get that right? 16.2. End abuse, exploitation, trafficking, and all forms of violence against and torture of children. I just have one question. Will this include the whole adrenochrome pedophile ring that they are running?
Yeah.
Anyway, 16.3. Ensure equal access to justice for all. I don't see how that can ever be true, because we know with the Noahide laws, there'll be a world court. There will not be justice for all. Lady Liberty is blindfolded. There's no justice for all. 16.4. By 2030, they want to significantly reduce illicit financial and arms flow. The illegal arms trading. Mm-hmm. Strengthening the recovery and return of stolen assets. And they want to combat all forms of organized crime. They can stop all the mafia rings. But my question remains, when they say they will stop and combat all organized crime, will they also stop the royal drug trade and the CIA behind the drug trade of the royal house? I don't know if you know about that. You need to read the book that talks about the royal drug trade. Who's really behind the massive amount of drugs being found on the streets all the time, although the police are arresting every small Tom, Dick and Harry that has a little bit of drugs on his possession. Anyway, that's a discussion for another day.
Yeah.
16.5. Substantially reduce corruption and bribery in all their forms. this will be impossible because Bill Gates is spending something like $90 million per year on lobbyists. And lobbyists are bribing and doing corruption in governments to change them to their way of thinking.
Yeah.
How can they ever reduce corruption and bribery in all their forms? It's, you know, these goals of them are so superficial and so hypocritical that it's actually not even funny. 16.6, develop effective, accountable and transparent institutions at all levels. Again, we are looking at institutions. 16.7, they want to have people represented at decision making at all levels. That's hogwash, because the United Nations is not elected by us. So how can we be represented by them? How is our decision making included in these institutions? It's not. So goal 16.7 is a pure lie. Anyway, let's continue.
Just on that
goal
point,
17.
Amada, just on that point.
Yeah.
It's quite clear that the I call them parasites. I don't call them the elite. That the parasites will be above the law, and these rules that you've just read out, or these objectives, are for the useless eaters and not for the parasites.
That they are the law. You know, when something is when something comes out into the open, if you look at this whole thing where they're asking for what do they call it, amnesty. There's this whole new thing about COVID amnesty. Mm-hmm. Let's not now I can't remember all the words there. Let's not judge each other for the mistakes we made during the COVID pandemic. Yeah. This is about companies asking for amnesty and corporations and employers asking for amnesty for the atrocities that happened during the COVID pandemic.
Well, if they do that, Marta, if they do that, then they've got to return all the profits they made from the illicit sales of, what, back to countries.
Come on. Come on. This is a fairy tale. It will never happen.
I know.
But listen
So
to what's happening.
What they're
the elites that's hiding behind their institutions will never have to answer to the law. They are so far above the law. All they have to do, like with, let's be honest, if an employee sues his employer for an atrocity that happened during COVID, he can sue the employer. The employer has to then suffer that court case. But the real people behind the laws that the employer had to enforce on his employee cannot be sued. The vaccine companies cannot be sued. And the institutions behind the vaccine companies cannot be sued. So your question about how the elites are above the law is absolutely correct. All they do is they will throw their own people under the bus, and their people will take the blame. You'll have the president of a country or the CEO of a big corporation, they'll go to jail or they'll be fired. Yeah. But the people behind all of this will never answer to the law. Mm. Just to answer that remark of yours. Mm. Goal number 17, can I continue? Mm-hmm. Strengthen the means of implementation and revitalizing the global partnerships for sustainable development. Goal 17 is really just another way of saying their puppet millionaires will run all the countries.
Now
you said before.
That is the elephant in the room. Right.
That's exactly the elephant in the room. The global partnerships are run by puppet millionaires. We see them on TV, on social media, on the radio, in the newspapers all the time. They are not the New World Order. They are just the global partnerships who's got all the money, who's funding all the institutions, and who's bribing all the governments through their lobbyists. And they're the ones that will take the fall. Mr. Gates, Mr. Musk, Mr. Schwab, Mr. Harari, these guys will take the fall. The people above them, who's hiding in the darkness, you'll never see them. Anyway, 17.1, strengthen domestic resource mobilization to improve domestic capacity for tax and other revenue collection. It's all about money. They want to mobilize additional financial resources for developing countries from multiple sources. This multiple sources, I mean, we all know Bill Gates is giving millions. The Rockefellers, the Rothschilds, the Ruperts, we'll get to that. I'm going to show you. How many billions did the Ruperts give to this country during the COVID pandemic? For the developing countries, for the small businesses, for individuals, we still have, what is it called? Like a grant given to people today, 2 years after the pandemic. 7.4, assist developing countries in attaining long-term debt sustainability through their policies. They want to get all the developing, the poor countries so indebted that the global partnerships can indeed be implemented. This is what it's really about.
Yeah.
They want to ensure that the African continent, who's already crippled with international debt, stay in debt. They want to keep us in debt, and they want to give us more debt. They want to give us more credit. Because why? The spiritual root behind this is the following. Proverbs 22 verse 7. The rich rules over the poor, and the borrower is the servant to the one that is borrowing from.
I just
This is the real reason.
Yeah, I just want to say that these multinational companies pay very little tax. And once they're in these public-private partnerships, they will pay no tax. And the public will be the ones who are basically scratching together whatever they've got out of their central bank digital currency to pay for the expenses. And just one of the things about the central bank digital currency, this is the kicker. The kicker is that the central bank, if let's say they need $1 billion, hypothetically, they can literally just, with a keystroke, take $100 out of everybody's bank account in the central bank digital currency to make up that debt that has to be repaid. So they can frig around with the money that you've got in the central bank digital currency system.
Now, I've got so many great videos, but there's just no time to show you that.
Sure.
But yes,
Yeah.
Having a quick peek into the future, if they decide that you've spent enough money for this month, then they can just stop your bank account right away. If they don't like what you said on social media, they just block your bank account.
Yeah.
If they feel that you are spending too much money on cigarettes or sugar or meat or whatever, then they can just take your money out of your bank account. That is what this whole smart city global control is all about. They can stop your bank account at any time they want.
Taking away our
Because
freedoms.
you'll be part of the beast system. Okay, goal 17. This is a very important goal. This is one of the biggest New World Order goals. So I want to continue with this one.
Yeah.
This global partnerships that they are implementing, 17.6 talks about enhancing the access to science, technology, and innovation, and enhance knowledge sharing on mutually agreed terms through a global technology facilitation mechanism. I want to say this again. Through a global technology facilitation mechanism. Here you have your beast system. Here you have the smart grid, the Internet of Things, where the global technology has a mechanism through which every human being will be then controlled. Just like you said, if they want to take with a keystroke, with a typing in of one letter, they can take $100 off your account like nothing.
Yeah.
Because you'll be part of this whole mechanism, of this whole global integration system that is really just the Tower of Babylon, where the whole world is gathered together in their fight against God. God will be eradicated. The Bible will be eradicated. Believers will be eradicated through the what is the word I'm looking for now? Through, for instance, CRISPR technology. that
Yeah.
is actually removing genetic material from our genomes. So this is becoming really complicated for me to explain, but I'm just giving you the keywords, and I'm trying to get you to remember all these keywords as we continue, that you can really understand what Goal 17 is about.
Just
17.
sorry, Marta. Just for people who don't know, CRISPR technology is just a fancy word for them using things like messenger RNA to change your DNA. It sort of like snips pieces out of your DNA and inserts some other stuff in there. That's called CRISPR technology. Sorry, back to you.
And that's why when people obey the law of God, if people obey the biblical laws, they will not ever take the mark of the beast, because they will know that it's against the law of God to mix genetics. But anyway, we'll talk about that at another time.
Yeah.
7.10, promote a universal rule-based trading system under the World Trade Organization and Doha Development Agenda. Now, very quickly, I want to talk about Doha Development Agenda. This is really about the rich countries stealing all the agriculture from the poor countries. Multinational corporations that are crushing the economies and the agriculture of the poorer countries. Although the Doha Development Agenda, together with the World Trade Organization, is supposed to increase the global partnership for poorer countries for their agriculture. I want to show you that a year after 2008, when the Doha agenda was talked about, the developing countries, remember developing countries is countries like Africa and all the other very poor countries. So developing countries were subjected to tremendous pressure in the Doha to agree to the launching of a new round in order to save the global economy. The notorious tactics of excluding most of the developing countries from decision-making was at play. Many developing countries complained of secret meetings that were effectively confined to a selected group of about 30 to 35 governments that was handpicked by the European Union and the United Nations. The underhanded trade diplomacy resulted in the Doha Development Round, which many pointed out had little to do with development and had everything to do with expanding developed countries' access to developing country markets. What are they saying? The Doha was supposed to bring the rich countries and the poor countries to the same level of developing their markets, their trade, and the economy. But what happened with the Doha agenda is that the developed countries like the United Nations and the European Union, they basically crushed the poorer countries' economies, because instead of having a council where they all sat around the table and talked together, only the rich countries sat in secret meetings, and the poorer countries were not allowed in those meetings. So it wasn't really a global partnership any longer. And that is why, so, like I said to you before, in India, how many farmers, if you Google how many small farmers in India have committed suicide in the last 10 years, because we don't really understand the impact of this sustainable development on the farming community and the poorer countries who are reliant on their farmers. You still with me, Scott?
Mm-hmm. I certainly am. Sorry. Yeah, I was just looking at the side chat as you were talking. So, who are the actual people behind all this hypocrisy, Marta?
Let's have a look at, for instance, Development Goal 17.16. Let's look at these people behind the scenes.
Yeah.
They will enhance the global partnerships for sustainable development, complemented by multi-stakeholder partnerships that will share knowledge, expertise, technology, and financial resources. These are the guys that's really behind everything.
Right.
Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, the Open Society Foundation from George Soros, the Rothschild Foundation, the Rupert Foundation, and the Oppenheimer Foundation. I'm giving you how many? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm giving you 5. There are hundreds.
No,
I'm just talking about the ones that you will recognize.
Yeah, no, I was about to say that you've got Rupert and Oppenheimer in there because of the South African leaning, and they're
Yes.
they're like the barons underneath the lords who are higher up, who are the Rothschild Foundation and people like that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So here you can see a little pyramid.
This is a big
top,
one, yeah.
At the top, you've got the Antichrist, of course, not the biblical God. But below, let's start at the bottom. At the bottom, we have you and I.
Mm-hmm.
We, humanity, we are the people.
Useless eaters.
On top of us, we are the useless eaters. Yeah, we are right at the bottom. We're the bottom feeders.
Yeah.
Just above us is the governments. Just above them is the politicians. Then you go up to your intelligence, your security services. Then you go up and you find your secret societies. Then above all these, you get your big businessmen and your bankers. These are the people that I'm going to talk about next. These are the global partnerships. These are the institutions. These are the guys that you said will not pay tax. These are the guys that's above the law. Look how far up the food chain they are. They're far above our local governments. These guys are, like you say, they are the barons. They are manipulating and controlling our governments. Am I saying this because I'm crazy? No, I'll show you proof. So let's first look at George Soros, the Open Foundation. Look at his logo. Do you recognize anything? This is the Soros logo. What do you recognize?
The circle.
Didn't we already talk about this?
Yes.
Very interesting.
Yeah.
So, Open Borders. Remember now, this is the Open Society of George Soros. Open Borders and media censorship. Why is there a migrant crisis in the Mediterranean? Remember we talked about the illegal immigrants flooding Europe. Scott?
Sorry, what was that?
Sorry, you remember we talked about the illegal immigrants flooding
Oh,
Europe?
yes.
Okay, listen to this now. There is a migrant crisis because the NGOs, the non-governmental organizations, are involved. There's an extensive network of open border activists and organizations behind the migrant crisis. Many of them are directly funded by the Open Society of George Soros. The network of the immigration lobby in Italy is made up of international NGOs financed by the Open Society. These Italian NGOs are financed, they shown to you in blue, and they've got shared projects shown in purple. I'm just showing you one country. I'm just showing you Italy. Look at George Soros from the Open Society Foundation through his NGOs, how he's funding all the aspects of the migrant crisis currently happening in Italy. This is one country that is doing it. If I have to show you what he's busy with in each and every country, we will not have enough time, even if we talk for the next 12 hours.
You know, I saw a very interesting video clip where Soros is bragging that he got into Ukraine in whenever it was, 2010, and he said within 2 years we had brought that country to democracy. That was his comment, and it's interesting that Putin has banned Open Society Foundation from having anything happening in Russia.
Absolutely. He's involved. I'm going to show you. It's actually part of my next slide. I'm going to show you.
Right.
He's involved in everything. So, the most recent exploits of George Soros manipulating the American political landscape is demand justice. Demand Justice is a non-governmental partnership. This organization has spent over $5 million behind an effort to stop Judge Brett Kavanaugh's confirmation to the United States.
Wow.
The Supreme Court Justice, judge, even he wasn't safe from the reaches of George Soros's money. George gave the money to the NGO called Demand Justice, and they made sure that this judge didn't get to where he was planning to go.
Well, he was given such a hard time. Kavanaugh was given such a hard time in the Senate hearing. It was crazy.
But the only reason that's done is because of the lobbying.
Yeah.
And the lobbyists are paid. And they are paid by who? They're paid by these guys.
Yeah.
That's really in charge of the big business, the big bankers, the guys that are in charge of our governments, the guys that's so far up in the food chain, you cannot reach them, you cannot touch them. He's also funding Antifa.
Yeah.
You know, this whole black movement, Black Lives Matter. Where did the money come from? It came from our friend. And like you said, in the war-torn Ukraine, it's a solid example of George Soros personally getting involved in the coup through his many color revolutions. From an article by the Duran, which is a newspaper, Soros and his NGO executives held detailed and extensive meetings with just about every actor involved in the coup. From the US Ambassador Jeffrey Pyatt to Ukraine's Minister of Foreign Affairs, Justice, Health and Education. This document you can see at the Duran, the DURAN.com, and it is a minute of a meeting that was held with an ambassador where this information came out. These guys are involved in everything.
Yeah.
He is involved in the Arab Spring, the Ukraine Revolution, the anti-Trump protests. He's responsible for the refugee invasion of Europe. I showed you that.
Yeah.
The Ferguson protest, Black Lives Matter. How his revolution works, he pays a group to protest. He hires snipers and provocateurs to kill or beat somebody. This creates more and more violence until a government is overthrown while the media that all these people are controlling only shows one side of the story.
Yeah.
These guys are in control of all of this. So, this is George Soros. What do you see?
A Nazi.
So remember this the next time that somebody calls you an idiot or a conspiracy theorist. These guys are the Nazis of the world. But of course, if you post this on social media, what will you get?
You'll get cancelled.
You'll get cancelled. It will be called fake news. Which company is in charge of fact-checking? Do you know?
Yeah, well, I
Who's
know
the fact-checking company?
I
of the
think
world?
it's Reuters, but I think the funders are people involved with Big Pharma.
Snopes.com. Snopes.com is the fact checker for the internet.
And that's George
Now,
Soros.
Well, let me read this to you. In 2009, factcheck.org exposed Snopes.com as an extremely liberal propaganda site with an agenda to discredit anything that appears to be conservative. Snopes has no employees and its owner has zero investigation research experience. Facebook has hired him to fact check the news on Facebook. And George Soros and the DNC have just been exposed as the only clients Snopes has. So when stuff we say, like George Soros is a Nazi, when that is fact-checked and then called fake news, we must just ask ourselves, who says it's fact-checked and it's fake news? The same people that are paid by these people to make sure that the world thinks it's fake news.
Yeah.
The information that's coming out is not fake. It's just called fake by the fact checkers that everybody believes.
Not everybody, thank God.
Okay. Not everybody, but the world believes. Because if I say George Soros has got Jewish roots, I'm called it's fake news.
Or
But it's called
anti-Semite.
fake news by the people that's paid by them to call it fake news, or it's called anti-Semitism. The moment you talk about anything Jewish, you are an anti-Semite.
Yeah.
You know. And I just want to remind you, we talked about this during the Noahide laws. Big difference between the Zionists and the real Jews who love God. Big difference. Just remember that.